Hey, what's up, family? So, today we talk about something that's one of the most important characteristics to have when it comes to life, and that is celebrating others' success. Celebrating others' success. So, I'd say for me, this is a topic that is not too hard to really dig into and to share a lot on. I mean, I could talk about this for hours because I'm naturally a person that celebrates other people's success. But with that, we're talking about this in relationship to meditation today. And first off, those of you all that keep up with this self-care journey series, you know that in the background I usually play piano meditation. I've been playing a lot of music from my Key Reflections album. But today I decided to play another original tune of mine that's a bit more upbeat because I feel like this topic is a bit more upbeat. So this is Societal Exchange that's in the background. And this is available on all social platforms, the Spotify's, the Apple Music's, the iTunes, Amazon, etc. So check it out if you get a chance and let me know if you enjoy it. Add it to your playlist. So here we go. Celebrating others' success. 10% happier self-care journey. Today is March 12th, 2020. Sympathetic joy. The feeling which arises when one regards all beings, beginning with oneself and one's own family and friends, but not stopping there, with loving kindness, and then perceives those who are happy and have created a lot of merit or even attained liberative insight. Now, I have to say, I actually don't like that definition at all. But it's because the way that it was worded, I just feel is kind of clunky. But if we just take the general premise, sympathetic joy is the feeling which arises when one, and it said one like too many times for me, when a person regards all people, all beings, and basically celebrates the happiness of others. I want to go to another word. In fact, I'm forgetting something, which is I forgot to put the notes in the chat. So the notes that I created for this session, I just put in the chat for you to follow along, for you to save. Okay, so mudita. This is a Hindi word, and this is actually going to be the word of the day. I might not get a chance to do it today, but this will be the word of the day tomorrow. So, mudita. Mudita is Hindi. The way you spell it is Mudita. And the meaning of this is joy, especially sympathetic or vicarious joy. So another way of saying sympathetic joy is mudita, which is Hindi. Hey, Michael Orr, thanks for hanging out. How are you and the family? Also, the pleasure that comes from delighting in other people's well-being. Again, this is something that, one of the things about me is that I hate the word hater. I hate it so much that I hate the fact that I just said the word hater. And what I mean by that is, I never use that word. I just think it's just like, ugh. I think it gives power to people that they don't deserve, to recognize somebody as a hater. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand what we're saying. Somebody who doesn't have our best interests in mind and, our accomplishments show them their insecurities and that kind of thing. But the reason why I never use the word hater is because of the other side, I think, that goes with that subject more so than the word. I think people feed into it too much. I think people like the gossip of haters and all that kind of stuff. My deal was just like, I don't have time for anybody who is upset at me because of what I'm achieving in life. Like, it just makes no sense. But that's because I had empathy for those people, because I was like, I realized at some point, this is insecurity. They're deeply insecure, and my security and my accomplishments and achievements remind them of their insecurity. It reminds them of their feeling of lack or their feeling of being, what's the word that we use when your growth is stunted, you know. So anyway, I had more empathy for those people. So, you know, because I'm the type of person that I celebrate when somebody else is doing well and achieving and happy, you know. But that's why mudita is natural to me. I'm gonna tell you another word right after this. Let me give you the last definition of this mudita thing. The traditional paradigmatic example of this mind state, mudita, is the attitude of a parent observing a growing child's accomplishments and successes. Mudita should not be confused with pride, as a person feeling mudita may not have any interest or direct income from the accomplishments of the other. Mudita is a pure joy, unadulterated by self-interest. Ooh, I think that's slick. I think the way they just put that, mudita is a pure joy, unadulterated by self-interest. I think that's a very eloquent way of saying this. And one other thing I found interesting about this definition is it said that, you know, one example of this is the attitude of a parent observing a growing child's accomplishments. And I've been studying psychology. In fact, I'm in a psychology course with Yale University. Look up Yale Open Courses. You can get your brain right, get educated, and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of education where you pay zero. It's free. Look up Yale Open Courses. But I'm taking Intro to Psychology, and one of the things that the professor was talking about was the phenomenon of how you have people who they're accomplishing, but they're ashamed of their accomplishments because their parents has a particular insecurity, and they feel bad about doing better than the parents. You know, so it's interesting reading this and just seeing like the total opposite is mudita, where parents are observing a growing child's accomplishments and they are proud of them instead of resenting them. When we can be happy of the joys other beings feel is called mudita. The opposite word is invidia. Invidia. I think that's how you pronounce it. Hey, you all, thanks for hanging out. Drop a line. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Hey, Michael. Hey, Eunice. So, invidia, that is the opposite of mudita. Invidia is, and I might even be pronouncing this wrong, I think it's invidia. That means envy. You know, it's the opposite. Here's another one of my favorite words that I've learned in this past year that also relates to this. And we talked about this in one of my earlier self-care sessions. Compersion. 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 Compersion is an empathetic state of happiness and joy experience when another individual experiences happiness and joy. And this is the interesting part, because this is where I learned about it. It is commonly used to describe when a person experiences positive feelings when a lover is enjoying another relationship. It is an opposite of jealousy. And to put two and two together, for those that might be like, how did you learn about that through that? Well, I learned about it in my study of polyamory, being a polyamorous man. So it's the opposite of jealousy. The opposite of jealousy. Compersion. This word came out in, they said, the 70s. They said is when the polyamorous community created it. One goal. Okay, so now we're going to flip the script. I've got less than 10 minutes, so I got to try to get the rest of this in. And we have to flip the coin over and talk about the other side of the coin to sympathetic joy, mudita, and compersion. So one very important goal is to get rid of the following negative narratives and assumptions. His narrative and assumption number one. Happiness is a limited commodity in this world. The more someone else has, the less there's going to be for me. That's one of the biggest and most detrimental negative narratives that we have to get out of our mind. A lot of us have different names for it. Some of us understand it as like the mindset of lack and that kind of thing, or lacking in sources. It's very narrow-minded, naive, very limited in thinking, because happiness is not a limited commodity. First of all, happiness is dependent on one person, and that one person is this person and that person. Now, I guess I'll say that with a little bit of a sidebar for those that are in situations where they can't control. That's unless you're in a situation where you can't control your happiness. Like you're a kid and, your parents, you're in some dire, grave, dark situation, which I have deep empathy for. And that's why I pause to even say that. But if not, and you're more so in a place where you have access to resources and you have, a place to live, and you at least aren't worried about where your next meal is coming from, happiness is up to you. And so, of course, it's not a limited commodity, because it's based on what you do with your life. It's based on what you do in order to make yourself happy or to find happiness. That's up to you. So one goal is to get rid of that narrative. Here's the second narrative. Number 2, others have everything and they always will. And I have nothing and I always will have nothing. It's another negative statement that it just won't help. And that's even if that's honestly even if you actually feel that way. Like if you, because of what you've been dealing with in your life, and whether it's trauma, abuse, whether it's like people taking advantage of you, or just uncomfortable, uncontrollable circumstances, it's still not helpful to tell yourself that others will always have everything and you'll have nothing, because visualizing it a different way is the first key to moving it in that direction. And then, like I said, even if you feel that way, try not to verbalize it. And it's wild because it's splitting hairs between verbalizing something where it has a negative impact because you're negatively reinforcing a narrative and an assumption, and just plain being honest with yourself. Like, you do kind of have to, sometimes I have to say things out loud just to be honest with myself with the fact that that's how I feel, while at the same time realizing and remembering, like, wait a minute, this actually is a negative statement. And I caught myself the other day because I realized something about myself that's a positive, but like they say, too much of anything is not good. And I see where the negative is. Hey, Russell, thanks for hanging out. So one thing I do is I rehearse like outcomes. I rehearse scenarios. So if I know I have to have a tough conversation with someone, and say I think that I'm going to be misunderstood, I'll rehearse in my head the whole misunderstanding, even to the point of like rehearsing what that person may say or is likely to say, and then even my responses to that. And I'll even get to the point of verbalizing those responses. Like, I'll literally even catch myself verbally rehearsing a situation, and I'm particularly using a negative situation. I do this with all situations, good and negative, but I'm going to use a negative situation right now to prove this point. So while in one way that's healthy because it helps me to prepare for the different responses that I might get from a person, or the different feelings that I may have, it does help me because at least I'm not running into that emotion or that response the first time. So I'm always working to finding positive ways to deal with things. So, I'll rehearse that emotion, that response, that feeling, and then I'll find a way to, to react to it in a positive way. So it helps for that. But I realize it's detrimental in other ways. First of all, it's detrimental when I have no reason to really think that things are going to go that way. Like if I don't have a real rational reason to think that things are gonna go that way, but I'm just like going over all the possibilities to make sure I'm clear, it doesn't actually help. The second way it doesn't help is even if I do think things are gonna go that way, if I'm rehearsing negative feelings, like where something makes me feel bad, if I'm like something a person says or something that happens, then I'm just practicing like feeling bad, you know. And I notice that I'll start getting attached to it almost as if that's actually what has happened, or that's what 100% will happen. And the truth is, I don't know that. So it's, I had to, and thank you for letting me unpack that. Like I had to really unpack that and realize like there's a level at which analyzing becomes a detrimental rehearsal of negativity. All right, so I got a couple more things and then we're out of here. So we were on the second narrative to get rid of, the second narrative and assumption. Here's the last and final assumption and narrative that we're trying to get rid of. Others always steal or intercept the limelight, rewards, and accolades from me. And this is a competition and lack mindset. That's kind of what I labeled it. Others always steal or intercept the limelight from me. I would be greater if these people knew that I was great because the credit was finally given to me, or this person didn't steal. A lot of times that is complete delusion. Other times, like you might have a person, who is just doing what they do. They're just putting one foot in front of the other, and they're getting the opportunities. They're getting the positions. And then you have somebody else that sits back and looks at it and takes it personal, as if that person did something to them, or that like this whole thing, they're being conspired against. Like this whole thing is a conspiracy theory. They're like everybody else is conspiring for this to take away the recognition, limelight, and the credit from this person and the opportunities. And meanwhile, everybody else is just living that life. They don't even know that this conversation is even going on in that person's head. That's delusion. And that happens to us a lot of times because we fall into the woe is me category. Now, granted, there are some times when people are conspiring against us. But what I've learned is that, like, even if someone or someone's are conspiring against you, I feel like if you don't act like it and you just do what you do, you put one foot in front of the other, you work hard, you put in the effort and the work, I feel like it completely knocks any conspiracy that could be against you. Like, real talk. Because chances are a lot of times people that are trying to conspire against you are like here and thinking, and you're trying to go here anyway. So chances are your actions are going to take you out of the zone where it just won't affect your journey. Now there are times when it can, and we should stand strong for what is right when it does. But hence the reason why I don't talk about haters and why I don't have any haters, because I don't create haters and invest in them mentally. I don't have time for haters. Like, even to the point where sometimes I notice it even comes out more when I'm talking to someone who does have time for the haters. It reminds me, like, wow, like they're really worried about what everybody else thinks. And I forgot that you could worry about what other people think. Like, I forgot that was a thing. I forgot that somebody's sly comment behind your back could like really hinder you and hold you down and make you not be able to go to that place anymore, or speak to this person or speak to these people, like, and change around your whole pattern and live differently because of, like, I'm like, dang, I forgot that was a thing. But again, that's just because I celebrate others' successes, and when people are experiencing misfortune, I empathize with them. I have deep sympathy for them, and if it's possible and it doesn't inconvenience me or is like a total detriment to my life, I try to help them. So that's it. But that's it for today, y'all. It is 5:30. I am actually on my way to JoJo's in DC. I would love for you to come and hang out with me if you're in the Baltimore or DC or Virginia area. JoJo's is 1518 U Street. We're there every Thursday, 7:30 to 11, with Clarence Ward III and that Feel Good. It's great music, great food, great energy. So yeah, I'm headed there now, and that was the self-care session for the day. The music in the background is my tune Societal Exchange on all platforms. And then last but not least, if you want to help me to make more content like this, look out for the info in the description and comment section of this video. Other than that, take care of your ass. Self-care, y'all. It's so important. You know, if you don't take care of you, life will force you to. So take care of yourself and be well. Peace.